The reason why the Institute of the Motor Industry embarked upon the Management and Leadership Programme is because there's always been something missing on the non-technical side of the business that's actually there on the technical side. On the technical side of the business, people are recognised for the qualifications that they've got. But our industry spends an enormous amount on training, well in excess of £100 million a year. And actually there's no external recognition for any of that money that's spent training people in the non-technical sides of the business. So it was time for us to look at what could be a common standard, an external accreditation. It's a particularly difficult thing for people who are multi-franchise groups, because in their case, they're meeting standards for many different brands, and much of what they do on the management and leadership side is fairly generic. I would probably say that at the very least 80% and probably more like 90% plus of what they do is generic, and then there's a brand piece on top of that. And that means that they're repeating that exercise time and time and time again. That's not good use of time, and it's not good use of funds. And you know, when people have undertaken this kind of training, they should see a value for it. And yet actually they can't carry it from job to job, which is utterly crazy. So with some form of external accreditation and a common currency, if you like, across the industry, there's an ability for them to do that. And that makes resounding common sense. And I think that's been seen by the sector, because to a large extent, we haven't been pushing on a closed door. I think people have understood what we're trying to achieve and have worked with us.
We focused on the Management and Leadership project because only 18% of our managers have had any formal level 4 qualification or development, against an industry sort of average of 45%. So it was a key issue for the sector. So that was our starting place, if you like. But over and above that, we had very limited resource. Up until the project come around, we couldn't deploy the resource to actually have an impact. The UK Commission for Employment and Skills, coupled with the IMI funding, has really given us the financial support that we need to put the resource in place to enable us to get out to the sector and work in partnership with employers and vehicle manufacturers to make sure that we change the culture and that whole piece. So in essence, it's given us the foundations to move forward. The common standard is a set of competencies and knowledge statements that really help us understand what a good manager looks like. We've developed it for the sector, with the sector, and it's been tested by them to make sure it's fit for purpose. The project's been able to achieve multiple different solutions within the sector. We started with developing assessor coach training material and assessments to really try and drive up the capacity in the sector to develop our managers. So that was the starting place in the development phase. We then moved into engaging with employers and looking at mapping existing programs so that we could improve existing programs that was already in place. Also, that work with the employers has enabled us to start people on the road of management and leadership development where there was nothing actually available for their managers. So it's done all of that, but basically at the end stop is what it's enabled us to do is bring about a culture shift in the sector. This is the first time we've seen many employers, vehicle manufacturers changing their approach to get to a common standard and drive up the capability of our managers. The project engaged many different industry stakeholders, vehicle manufacturers, large players like Vauxhall, Toyota, BMW, the VW brands. It's been really positive, the response. In fact, we've got 17 already mapped to the common standard. But also the dealers, the franchise dealers, have been talking to the vehicle manufacturers and are coming to that common agreement that the common standards needed. Large franchise dealers like Marshalls, Pendragon, Sytner, those sort of individual organisations have been working with us as well. This doesn't detract from the independent sector. We've had large independent employers looking to work with us on the whole management and leadership piece and actually drive it into the smaller independent network, so that's really good news. We've been working with training providers and experts in management and leadership to make sure the provision's where it needs to be. And we've also worked with individual managers where they've come to the party because they can see the benefits. Already, we've got over 1,200 managers on a new improved programme, which is fantastic for the sector, and really we're only at the beginning. The UK Commission for Employment and Skills funding has only allowed us to lay the foundations in effect. So this is the end of a project, but the start for the sector. Moving forward, the IMI can offer lots for the management and leadership piece. We've got the common framework, as you know, and that really delivers the foundations to springboard out of. We can use that as a gap analysis, so we can help businesses understand where the gaps are in their people or their programs. We've got multiple solutions like AMA Trait that come out of that to help recruit, select and develop people. We've got 360 solutions, 360 appraisals that actually map back to the standard, and that helps us performance manage. And we've also got the badging that comes out of it, the recognition that's all important for the individual. And that is AMA assessments, which lead to accreditation and ultimately professional registration.